Dear soul who is listening right now, set the tone for every relationship, put God first and watch everything change. There is a quiet truth about love that many people spend years searching for, and perhaps you have felt it too in the silent spaces of your heart. Maybe you have wondered why some relationships feel heavy while others feel peaceful, why some connections fade even when you try your best, and why certain people enter your life only to leave again. Beautiful soul, what if the answer has never been about trying harder to hold people close, but about something deeper that quietly shapes every relationship you will ever experience? What if the tone of every relationship in your life begins long before another person arrives? Take a quiet moment and listen carefully, because this message may be touching a question you have carried quietly within you. Many people believe that relationships begin when two people meet, but in truth they begin much earlier, in the private spaces of the heart where values are formed, where faith grows, and where a person learns who they truly are. When a heart learns to place God first, something subtle begins to change. The way you love changes. The way you respond to conflict changes. The way you recognize healthy connections changes. And slowly, almost quietly, the entire tone of your relationships begins to shift. Faithful heart, if this message resonates with something deep inside you, you are warmly invited to comment, "I trust divine timing," below. Your words may encourage someone else who is also learning to trust the journey of their heart. If you appreciate peaceful and uplifting spiritual encouragement like this, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on the notification bell so you can continue receiving messages of hope and reflection. And if you ever wish to support the channel through super thanks, know that it is completely voluntary and never required, and it is never connected to spiritual rewards or outcomes. This space exists simply to share encouragement, nothing more and nothing less. Now take a slow breath and stay with this message, because what comes next may bring a small but meaningful shift in the way you see your own journey. Dear soul, there are seasons in life when relationships seem confusing. You may give kindness and receive distance. You may offer loyalty and receive misunderstanding. You may open your heart only to discover that someone else was not ready to hold it gently. In those moments it is easy to wonder if something is wrong with you. But sometimes the deeper truth is not that you loved incorrectly, but that the foundation of the relationship was never aligned with something greater than human emotion. When two people try to build a relationship only on feelings, those feelings can shift with time, pressure, and circumstances. But when a heart begins by placing God first, something steady enters the foundation. It becomes less about controlling another person and more about becoming the kind of person who loves with patience, clarity, and wisdom. Beautiful soul, this does not mean life suddenly becomes perfect. It means something quieter happens. You begin to recognize the difference between connections that bring peace and connections that bring confusion. You begin to notice when a relationship encourages growth rather than insecurity. And slowly, the tone of your life begins to change in ways that once seemed impossible. Stay with this reflection for a moment longer, because sometimes the heart needs a little time to absorb what it is hearing. Many people spend years trying to find the right person while quietly forgetting to build the right foundation within themselves. They search for someone who will bring them peace, while their own inner world still carries unresolved pain, unhealed memories, or fears shaped by past disappointments. Yet life has a gentle way of inviting growth before lasting love appears. Sometimes two people who are meant to meet are first placed in separate seasons of transformation. One may be learning patience while the other learns courage. One may be healing from betrayal while the other learns to become emotionally present. And during this time, neither of them may realize that their journeys are quietly preparing them for each other. Faithful heart, if you have ever wondered why love has taken longer than you expected, consider the possibility that something meaningful is being shaped within you. Growth is rarely loud or dramatic. Often it happens quietly, through small choices, thoughtful reflection, and moments when you decide to trust God even when the path ahead is unclear. When a person begins to center their life around faith rather than fear, relationships stop feeling like a desperate search for validation. Instead, they begin to feel like opportunities for connection built on respect, honesty, and shared values. Dear soul, there is another truth that many people only discover after experiencing heartbreak. Sometimes relationships end not because love was absent, but because the timing of growth was different for each person. One heart may be ready to build a life of purpose while the other is still learning who they are. In those moments, separation can feel painful, yet it can also become a season of transformation. When you place God first, you begin to see that even endings can carry hidden wisdom. They can guide you toward deeper self-understanding, clearer boundaries, and a stronger sense of identity. And slowly, the tone of your relationships begins to shift from uncertainty to clarity. Take another quiet moment and stay with this message, because the next reflection may help you see your waiting season in a new light. Beautiful soul, there is something extraordinary about the season when a person begins to grow without constantly searching for approval. During this time you may start valuing peace more than attention. You may begin choosing honesty over pleasing everyone around you. You may even find yourself enjoying moments of solitude that once felt uncomfortable. This is not loneliness. It is the quiet strengthening of a heart that is learning to live with purpose. And it is often during this season that something remarkable begins to happen. When you place God first, you begin to attract relationships that reflect that same foundation. People who value kindness, patience, and faith start appearing in your life. Conversations feel more meaningful. Connections feel more balanced. And slowly you realize that the tone of your relationships has changed without you forcing it. Faithful heart, if you are still in a waiting season, do not assume that nothing is happening. Sometimes the most meaningful transformations occur in silence, where character is formed and wisdom takes root. The love you hope for may also be on its own journey of growth, learning lessons that will one day allow it to meet you with maturity and understanding. Two lives can be moving toward each other without either person realizing it yet. Stay close to this message, because the reflections ahead may bring a sense of hope you did not expect today. There is a quiet beauty in trusting that the timing of your life is not random. When you choose to place God first, you are not simply waiting for love to appear. You are becoming the kind of person who can recognize, nurture, and protect meaningful love when it finally arrives. And that transformation, dear soul, is where the true change in relationships begins. Beautiful soul, there is something deeply comforting about realizing that your story is still unfolding even during the seasons when nothing seems to be happening. Life often moves quietly, almost invisibly, shaping the heart in ways that are difficult to recognize while you are living through them. You who are listening right now may have experienced moments when you questioned why certain relationships did not last, or why someone who once seemed so important slowly drifted away. Those moments can feel confusing, and sometimes even painful, because the human heart naturally longs for connection, understanding, and companionship. Yet there is a deeper perspective that becomes visible only with time. When a person begins to place God first in their life, the meaning of relationships slowly begins to shift. Instead of chasing connections that promise happiness but deliver uncertainty, the heart becomes more attentive to the quiet signs of alignment. A peaceful connection begins to feel more valuable than an exciting but unstable one. Honest communication begins to feel more meaningful than constant attention. And gradually, without even noticing it at first, you begin to realize that the tone of your relationships is changing because the foundation of your life has changed. Faithful heart, stay with this reflection for a moment, because sometimes the most meaningful insights appear gently, one thought at a time. Many people grow up believing that love is something that simply appears one day, like a sudden spark between two people. But life often reveals a more thoughtful truth. Real love is not only about chemistry or attraction, it is also about timing, maturity, and emotional readiness. Two individuals may meet and feel a strong connection, yet still discover that they are not yet prepared to build something lasting together. Perhaps one person is still healing from past wounds, while the other is learning how to communicate with patience. Perhaps one is discovering their purpose, while the other is learning how to trust again after disappointment. In those moments, separation can feel like failure, but sometimes it is simply part of a longer journey that is still unfolding. Beautiful soul, if you have experienced a relationship that ended even though there was genuine care between you, try to see it not only as an ending but also as a chapter of growth. Life has a way of guiding people through experiences that quietly prepare them for deeper connections later. The lessons you learned, the boundaries you discovered, and the strength you developed are not wasted moments. They are shaping the person you are becoming. And when a heart begins to place God at the center of life, those lessons start to form a new perspective. You begin to value emotional honesty more than surface-level charm. You begin to appreciate consistency more than dramatic gestures. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to understand that meaningful love does not need to rush. Stay present with this message for a little longer, because the reflection ahead may bring clarity to something you have been wondering about quietly. Dear soul, there is often a hidden purpose in the seasons when life feels slower than expected. Waiting seasons can be uncomfortable because they invite reflection. During these times you may notice thoughts you once avoided, emotions you once buried, or dreams that have been quietly resting within your heart. Yet these moments of reflection are not obstacles. They are invitations to grow. When you choose to place God first during these seasons, something powerful begins to happen. Instead of measuring your worth by whether someone chooses you, you begin to recognize your value as something deeper and more enduring. Instead of searching constantly for someone who will complete you, you begin to focus on becoming whole within yourself. This shift may appear small from the outside, but internally it changes everything. The way you approach relationships becomes calmer. The way you respond to challenges becomes wiser. And slowly the tone of your life begins to reflect a sense of peace that was not there before. Faithful heart, take a quiet moment and consider this possibility. Somewhere in the world there may be another person who is also learning similar lessons right now. Someone who is discovering patience, developing emotional strength, and learning to trust God with their future. They may not know your name yet, and you may not know theirs, but both of you could be walking through seasons that are quietly preparing you for something meaningful. Life sometimes guides two people through separate journeys before their paths finally cross. One may learn resilience while the other learns compassion. One may develop clarity about their purpose while the other learns the courage to open their heart again. And when the timing is right, their stories meet at a moment when both hearts are ready to build something healthy and lasting. Stay with this reflection, because understanding this possibility can transform the way you see your waiting season. Beautiful soul, there is also another gentle truth that often appears along the journey of faith. When you place God first, you begin to realize that relationships are not meant to replace your sense of identity. Instead, they are meant to complement it. A healthy connection does not ask you to shrink your values or ignore your inner voice. Instead, it encourages you to grow into the best version of yourself. When faith becomes the foundation of your life, you naturally begin to recognize the difference between relationships that support your growth and those that quietly pull you away from it. You begin to notice when someone respects your boundaries and when someone dismisses them. You begin to appreciate conversations that bring clarity rather than confusion. And gradually you understand that meaningful love feels steady, not chaotic. Faithful heart, remain with this message, because there is another insight waiting just ahead that may bring comfort to your journey. Many people carry a quiet fear that if love has not appeared yet, it may never arrive. This fear can grow stronger when time passes and expectations remain unmet. But life has a remarkable way of surprising the heart when it is least focused on searching. When a person begins to live with faith, purpose, and self-respect, their energy changes in subtle but powerful ways. They begin to move through the world with calm confidence rather than desperation. Their conversations carry sincerity. Their actions reflect integrity. And without forcing anything, they naturally attract people who resonate with those qualities. This is one of the quiet transformations that occurs when God becomes the center of a person's life. Relationships begin to form around shared values instead of temporary emotions. Connections begin to grow through mutual understanding instead of constant uncertainty. And slowly, almost beautifully, the tone of every relationship begins to reflect the peace that faith has cultivated within the heart. Dear soul, if you are still in the middle of your journey, remember that growth rarely follows a straight line. There may be days when you feel hopeful and days when you feel uncertain. There may be moments when you wonder if your patience truly matters. Yet every step you take toward personal growth, emotional healing, and faith-centered living is shaping the future you are walking toward. And sometimes the greatest transformation happens quietly, within the heart that has learned to trust the process even when the outcome is not yet visible. Stay with this message, because the reflections ahead will begin to reveal a powerful realization about love, timing, and the beautiful moment when two prepared hearts finally meet. Beautiful soul, there comes a moment in many people's journeys when they begin to understand something that once felt confusing. It is the quiet realization that love is not something meant to rescue you from yourself, but something meant to meet you when you have already begun becoming the person you were meant to be. You who are listening right now may have spent years wondering why certain relationships appeared and disappeared like seasons. At times those experiences may have felt like detours, moments that led nowhere, yet when viewed from a deeper perspective they often reveal something different. Each relationship, each conversation, each unexpected ending may have been shaping the way you understand love, respect, and emotional truth. Life rarely wastes our experiences. Even the painful chapters often carry quiet lessons that guide the heart toward clarity. And when a person begins placing God first in their life, those lessons slowly start forming a new foundation for every future connection. Faithful heart, remain with this reflection for a moment longer, because what you are about to consider may gently change the way you see your past. Many people enter relationships hoping another person will fill the empty spaces within them. They hope affection will heal old wounds, attention will erase insecurity, and companionship will remove loneliness. Yet when those expectations become too heavy, the relationship itself begins to struggle under the weight of needs that were never meant to be carried by another human heart. This is why placing God first quietly changes everything. Instead of searching for someone to repair your broken places, you begin allowing faith, growth, and self-understanding to guide your healing. Slowly your identity becomes stronger. Your sense of worth becomes clearer. And relationships begin to feel less like a search for completion and more like an opportunity to share a meaningful journey with another person who is also growing. Stay with this message, because the next reflection may help you see your waiting season with new appreciation. Dear soul, consider the idea that meaningful love often arrives not when someone desperately searches for it, but when a person has grown comfortable with who they are becoming. During these seasons, something subtle but powerful begins to change within the heart. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to chase validation from people who give only fragments of attention. You may find that you value honesty more than excitement, and stability more than dramatic emotions. You may even begin to appreciate quiet moments with yourself, moments where reflection and faith feel more nourishing than constant distraction. This transformation may appear simple from the outside, but it is actually a profound shift in the tone of your life. When God becomes the center of your decisions, your relationships begin to reflect patience instead of urgency. They begin to reflect respect instead of confusion. And perhaps most importantly, they begin to reflect peace instead of emotional chaos. Faithful heart, pause here and stay with this message, because the insight approaching next may speak directly to something you have been quietly wondering about. Sometimes people believe that when two individuals are meant to meet, their paths will cross easily and everything will unfold without difficulty. Yet life often writes stories in a more thoughtful way. Two people may indeed be destined to share a meaningful connection, but before that meeting happens, each of them may walk through seasons that prepare them in different ways. One may spend time learning how to communicate openly after years of silence. The other may be discovering the courage to trust again after disappointment. One may be building stability in their life while the other is learning the value of emotional presence. During these seasons, neither person may know the other exists, yet both are quietly being shaped by experiences that will one day allow their relationship to thrive. Beautiful soul, if you are still in a period of waiting, remember that preparation often happens long before opportunity appears. Just as a garden must be nurtured before flowers bloom, the heart often grows stronger before meaningful love arrives. And when two individuals who have both been growing finally meet, something remarkable begins to unfold. Their connection feels calmer. Their conversations feel sincere. Their presence in each other's lives feels like a natural continuation of the growth they have already experienced. Stay close to this reflection for another moment, because the next realization may bring a sense of peace you did not expect today. Dear soul, one of the most powerful transformations that occurs when you place God first is the way it changes your expectations of love. Instead of hoping someone will prove your worth, you begin recognizing your worth within yourself. Instead of fearing that someone might leave, you begin trusting that the right people will stay because your values align. This shift removes much of the anxiety that once surrounded relationships. Love stops feeling like a fragile opportunity that must be protected at all costs, and begins feeling like a partnership where two individuals support each other's growth. Faith becomes the quiet anchor that steadies the relationship when life becomes challenging. Conversations become spaces where honesty can exist without fear. And gradually the tone of the relationship reflects the same peace that faith has created within each person individually. Faithful heart, remain with this message just a little longer, because the next insight will reveal something truly beautiful about the timing of love. There is often a moment in life when a person realizes that their waiting season was not empty at all. The patience they practiced strengthened their character. The reflection they embraced deepened their understanding of themselves. The faith they cultivated gave them resilience during uncertain moments. And suddenly they see that the person they have become is very different from the person they once were. They are calmer. They are wiser. They are more capable of giving love without losing themselves. It is often during this stage that life introduces someone whose journey has also been shaping them in similar ways. Their paths cross not as two incomplete individuals searching for rescue, but as two people who have grown strong enough to walk side by side. Beautiful soul, stay with this message as it continues, because the reflections ahead will reveal a comforting truth about why love often appears exactly when the heart has learned to recognize it. Dear soul, if you have walked patiently through seasons of uncertainty, there is a gentle truth that often becomes visible only near the end of that journey. It is the realization that every quiet moment of growth, every lesson learned through disappointment, and every step taken in faith has been shaping the tone of the life you are now living. When you choose to place God first, something steady begins guiding your decisions, your reactions, and your understanding of love itself. You start noticing that relationships no longer feel like confusing puzzles you must solve. Instead, they begin to feel like spaces where mutual respect, patience, and honesty can quietly grow. This change rarely happens overnight. It unfolds gradually, like the slow morning light that fills a room before the day truly begins. Yet once it arrives, the difference becomes clear. Faithful heart, take a quiet moment and remain present with this reflection, because the final insight may bring a sense of peace to everything you have experienced along the way. There is a powerful realization waiting within the heart of every person who learns to place God first. Meaningful love often appears when you have grown into the version of yourself capable of receiving it with wisdom. Earlier in life you may have been ready to give love, but perhaps you were still learning how to protect your peace, communicate openly, and recognize the difference between affection and commitment. Growth teaches these lessons gently but firmly. Over time you begin to understand that love is not measured by how intense it feels in the beginning, but by how steady it remains through everyday life. The most meaningful relationships are often the ones that feel calm rather than overwhelming, supportive rather than confusing, and honest rather than uncertain. Beautiful soul, when two individuals who have both placed God first finally meet, their connection often carries a quiet sense of recognition. It is not dramatic or rushed. It feels natural, as if their lives have slowly been moving toward this moment all along. Their conversations hold depth because both have learned the value of sincerity. Their patience reflects the journeys they have walked separately. And their respect for each other's growth becomes the foundation upon which their relationship continues to build. In this kind of connection, love does not replace faith, it grows alongside it. Both individuals understand that their relationship is strongest when their hearts remain aligned with something greater than themselves. Faithful heart, remain with this message just a little longer, because the closing reflection may gently answer the question that has quietly lived within you. If your life still feels like a waiting season, do not assume that the story has paused. Sometimes the most meaningful chapters are written during the moments when nothing seems to be happening. Your patience is shaping resilience. Your reflection is deepening your understanding of love. Your faith is strengthening the foundation upon which future relationships will stand. Somewhere along the path ahead, there may be a moment when you look back and realize that the timing of your life carried more wisdom than you could see at the time. You may see how certain experiences prepared you to recognize a healthier connection. You may notice how the person you became during your waiting season is exactly the person capable of nurturing the love that finally arrives. Dear soul, your life is not behind schedule, and your story has not been forgotten. The journey you are walking is still unfolding with meaning, even when its direction feels uncertain. Every act of kindness you offer, every moment of patience you practice, and every step you take in faith is shaping the tone of the relationships that will enter your future. When God remains first in your heart, your life gradually reflects a quiet harmony that attracts people who value the same foundation. And when love eventually appears within that space of faith, it often feels less like something you chased and more like something that gently found its way to you. Beautiful soul, take comfort in knowing that your waiting season may be preparing something far more meaningful than you once imagined. Continue growing, continue trusting, and continue nurturing the peace within your heart. The love you hope for may arrive in a moment that feels ordinary at first, yet carries the quiet certainty of two lives finally meeting at the right time. Until that day comes, remember that your journey still holds purpose, your heart still carries strength, and your story is still moving forward in ways that may one day reveal just how beautifully everything was being arranged. Type Amen.